Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Danvers Zoning Board of Appeals. We are now in session. If I could ask you to turn off or silence any cell phones, beepers, any devices that may interrupt us. I will start off by introducing board members tonight, and we do only have four. To my right is our clerk, Mr. Ken Scholes, myself, the chairman, John Bowner, and to my left is Ken Jarvinen and Corrine Doherty. We also have from our planning department our director, Mr. Brian Zacchelli. We are in receipt of minutes, but we're going to take additional time to review. I believe we're in receipt of 3 sets of minutes, so we will hold that to our next meeting. And I just want to be clear when our next meeting is. Looks like it's on 9/11, okay? So if any cases get continued, that would be the date we look at. And just to go over our procedure a little bit for folks that are new to zoning board, we will ask you, once your case is called, by the clerk to come to the podium, speak clearly into the microphone. We are on Danvers cable, so it's not only for the benefit of our minutes, but also for anybody viewing at home. If you can identify yourself and what it is you're looking to do. From that point, I will turn it over to the board. Board will ask questions of you regarding your application. At that point, I will open it up to the public, anybody that wishes to be heard or speak for or against any project that's before us. Again, up to the microphone, announce who you are and your address. And from that point, we will close the public hearing. It'll come back, and the board will deliberate. We ask that we're not interrupted during deliberations. Time for questions will be over at that point. And from there, you'll be able to hear what your, how your vote's going and what the potential options are. And with that said, I believe we're ready to go. So, Mr. Clerk, if you could read our first continued case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first case is 144 Pine Street. This is zoned Industrial 1. Request to first modify a previously issued docket 14-4492 to strike the conditioning language that prohibits outdoor storage on the subject site. The applicant is also requesting a special permit with associated waivers or variances in accordance with Section 9.3.B.2, Section 30.3, and Section 9.3.C of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to permit 2 storage containers for a period of more than 180 days on the property. To the extent such variances are deemed necessary by the board, the applicant is requesting dimensional variances in accordance with Table 3 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to place the 2 storage containers approximately 3 to 4 feet from the side setback where 25 feet is required, and or to place 2 storage containers closer in various distances to the rear setback where 25 feet is required, and or to request a waiver in accordance with Section 9.3.C, including where the 2 storage containers are situated closer than 10 feet from the nearest building, at varying distances where 10 feet distance between container and building is required. Request made by Brian Calkin of Elevation Foods, docket 23-5015.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm attorney Peter Calabrese for the applicant Elevation Foods. Thanks for taking the time to hear from us again this evening. And I wanted to take the opportunity to give the board an update on, what my client's plan is for dealing with these storage containers. We had some discussions at earlier hearings about, phasing out this use at the property. So what my clients would like to do is to propose a phase-out plan for these trailers. What they're trying to accomplish with this is to have the least amount of disruption with the operation, layoffs of employees, things like that, at the site. So what they believe makes sense, in light of the current business operation, is to keep the current 2 trailers until December 31st of this year. And once that date comes, on or before the end of the year to remove the current diesel-powered trailer. You may remember that one's electrified, and then there's a diesel-powered refrigerator trailer. They would like to keep the one electrified trailer for calendars year 2024 and 2025. In addition to doing the fencing and the sound dampening and all those things that were previously discussed. And then by the end of 2025, removing that one final trailer. And the site would be free of the trailers. And they believe that time frame is a reasonable time frame for them to accomplish this. It may happen sooner than that, but those are sort of the milestones that they wanted to propose. And one other update is that there's apparently some sort of insulation wrapping that can go on the refrigeration units of these trailers, which minimizes the decibels, about 15 points. So it sounds like a significant reduction there. So that would be installed immediately once the board's made a decision.
Okay, is that all you have to present to us?
That's the only update. Everything else we've presented prior.
Well, quite frankly, Mr. Calabrese, I'm a little surprised. I thought the board was really clear on what we were looking for prior to this meeting, which was an updated plan that showed the removal of these trailers that are there in violation. We did not receive that. You're now here asking for, a phase-out program, but I just don't see that as what's before us. We're not here to, kind of, for lack of better words, play let's make a deal. But, however, in light of this new information, I will allow the board, I will turn it over to the board to ask you any additional questions from what you've presented to us tonight. So I'll start with you, Ken.
I don't have any questions. I'll wait for comments.
Thank you, Ken. And my other Ken.
Is there any consideration on moving that second, the last electrified trailer sooner? Like instead of 2 years, maybe 1 year?
It's just a logistical thing. So it may be possible to do it sooner than the 2 years, but they didn't want to sort of overpromise on how soon they can phase these things out. There is a phase out that's needed. I mean, there's goods in there, there's deliveries that come that replenish these things. So that's why they presented that. It may be possible at a year and a half. I'd have to chat with the client, but this isn't an effort that let's make a deal or anything like that. Our understanding coming in from the last meeting was if you expect a different outcome on the comments and the board's view of the project, you need to present something materially different. A phase out that results in 0 trailers is materially different from 2 trailers. And the idea is to clear out the trailers, but to do so in a reasonable and frankly, just common sense way that's not going to disrupt the operation to a degree where it's impacting employees and the like. There are a lot of local people that work at this facility. This facility is, providing storage services for frozen foods and things. Obviously, those are used daily. So this is a good faith effort to present something that we think is workable with minimal disruption. This is a local business that pays taxes, income and property taxes. They've been a positive attribute to the community. There's been a few abutters that have made comments in opposition, not many, and most of those comments have related around traffic and trucks and things coming and going and parking, not the trailers themselves. So, we've made our legal argument in the papers, but we believe that this is the sort of thing that the board should consider, and we believe it's a meaningful change from what we had before.
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Ken. Corinne?
If, Mr. Calabrese, if we were agreeable to this, and based on all of the kind of promises that you made at other meetings, would you accept, first of all of the conditions with regard to signage, and, noise reduction and all of that, and like a 6-month check-in. So every 6 months, so starting in January of 2024, to make sure that the diesel-operated refrigerating truck is gone. And then every 6 months after that, to make sure that you're in compliance, that the neighbors aren't, complaining that it's still too loud, and then, keep doing that until you get rid of that second trailer. Would you be agreeable to that?
I think that's reasonable if my client objects. No, they agree to that. That's a common sense approach to have the check-in. And the
Okay.
signage and the fencing that was already proposed, they're going to do that. They're not reneging on anything. We're just giving an updated plan for phasing this out.
Okay, okay. And if you were able to, I guess, procure that insulation that goes around, how long would it take for it to come in? Do you have to order it? How long before you would receive it? And then how long until it's actually up and operational?
I'm going to ask my client to answer that question because he has the specs on the materials.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Ashkan Delfanazari, Plant Engineer and Maintenance Director. The material is available within 24 hours to 48 hours. So once we receive them, it's the amount of material that we're getting, and it's about 100 foot per roll. And those material will reduce the noise by 15 decibels, like previously was explained. And installing it's a matter of 1 or 2 days. So within the first week of we having the material, it will be installed instantly.
Now, would you only use that on the diesel or both?
It will be on both.
Okay,
It will 100% be on both units.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay right there. So my question is, this problem's been around since 2016, since we granted the last finding. And you just described to us that we can get this material in 24 hours, and it can be installed in 2 days, but yet we haven't done it. Why?
Unfortunately, I wasn't employed with the company in 2016 or back then. I only been with the company for past 7 months, as Brian brought me over to help with these type of matters and be able to help the company to grow and be a better community for the Danvers people.
Okay, so I understand that. However, this problem has been around since you've been with the company.
Correct.
Well, why haven't we done it in the last 7 months?
To be fair, we haven't got approval from you whether we are okay to continue or do something like this. And the material is not cheap either. So each material, each 100 rolls is about $1,800 per unit. So it might not seem significant to some, but it is once you order 100 feet of them.
Well, I find it troubling that we're where we are with this site and that we have trailers there illegally. I guess more of what I have to say is based on comments. Let me just think if they have any additional questions. Thank you. And Mr. Calabrese, so I just want to make sure I have it clear. You're going to say you're going to phase out the diesel trailer that's there illegally by the end of this year. We're going to phase out the electric trailer by the end of 2025.
Yes.
And then you're also agreeing from my comrade here that all the conditions that we've already talked about with regards to noise and check-ins and these types of things, and that we also are going to invest in the insulation of these units to try to further reduce the noise of these illegal trailers. So I have it all right?
There's also the fencing aspect of it.
The fencing as
It's
well.
going to be a vinyl fence, I understand. That's a
So
hard
you're still
surface.
looking to move forward with the plan you presented to us, as well as these new conditions you said that will remove these trailers?
Yeah, the plan is the one presented at the last meeting with that layout. This here isn't a change of plan, it's a phase out, so the board has some light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
And you'll take a condition to insulate these trailers as part of this?
Yes, they've explicitly agreed to that.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions. Jack, go, Green.
I do too, sorry.
We're also going to include that, the time restrictions that they agreed to at the last meeting, and also, they were going to install a sign regarding, deliveries.
Outside vendors, yeah.
Yeah, that they couldn't, what was it, 7 AM? They couldn't begin until after 7 AM?
Yeah, there were 2 signs that they ordered. Let me just pull that up for a moment.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Excuse me, sorry. It was signage for no deliveries 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 10 p.m. no machines, privacy fencing with adequate soundproofing, and the keeping with the electric storage refrigerated container.
Yeah, whatever was included in our last submission, that they're not withdrawing that. They're still following through with the signs. They're having their own enforcement mechanism of the staff and the management on site policing that.
Okay.
Go ahead, I have one additional.
Yeah, I just have one more question. So the diesel unit, which you say is going to be out of there by December 31st, which is 4 months from now, correct?
That's correct, sir.
You're going to put the fencing around it, you're going to put the insulation around it and all that, just for 4 months?
Let me just ask the client while he's in here. Do you want to answer that? My understanding is yes, but I want him to confirm.
Again, Ashkan Delfanazari. The answer to that is yes. It's definitely going to be the contractors that's going to be capable of doing all this, and we did hire them and actually asked them what's the turnaround. The turnaround on installing the fans is on both units. It's going to be 1 week to 10 days. It's 10 business days, so approximately 2 weeks overall as far as the installation goes. Once we have the approval, we could actually go ahead. Again, this is spending money on certain amount of fans and equipments and parts that we would need approval before we install it. And this will include interrupting and disturbing a driveway and everything else. So we would like to have 100% guaranteed before we go forward. The answer to that is yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Calabrese, just to be clear, so and Mr. Zacchelli, I'll refer to you on this because I know we set a bunch of conditions. I don't have them here. But I thought one of those conditions were both trailers were to be electric and no diesel. Was that, am I correct in that?
It was requested by a member of the board, but they didn't agree to it.
So that condition you're not accepting?
So that condition was discussed in the context of keeping the 2 trailers. So in this
But
context,
you're still asking us for 2 trailers, aren't you?
well, the context here is to get rid of the diesel trailer first. I'm assuming the board would like the diesel trailer removed first. That's why we've presented it that way.
Well, I think the board was real clear last time that we wanted a plan that showed no trailers.
Well,
So,
I appreciate the chairman's comments. The reality is that the trailers do not get removed in a single day, no matter what happens. There's some logistics for them to
Okay.
get rid of them. And I have no idea what the cost of an electrified trailer is.
well, I
I
think that was detailed, right? They had to get an electrical hookup and all this. But, so I just want to understand, right now, your proposal is not to have 2 electric trailers, it's to have 1 diesel and 1 electric.
Yes, the ones that are existing there now. That's right.
And the one that's there, it's already electric, doesn't require this additional work for electrical connections because it's being connected via your building already?
Yes, the electric one is already connected to the building and it's already being used as electric.
So there's no contractor work required to
Not on
do
that one.
anything?
But if we
Okay.
wanted to turn the diesel to electric, we would require to get a city permission.
Got it.
Permits.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from the board? None. I'll go out to the public on this. Anybody here to speak on 144 Pine Street? This is Elevation Foods.
Mr. Bradstreet had his finger up. hand up.
Come on up and be heard.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I understand the 6-month review. I would rather see it perhaps in 4 months review. I'd also like to ask if there's a mechanism, and I believe there is, to measure the decibel level of the noise that's being produced by what is there, so that it also can be checked and be known when the review, whatever time element you decide on, is made when they come in. One of the comments that was made in the past was a noise from the forklift trucks. I may be wrong, but I believe there are man-powered forklift trucks that don't make noise when they back up. Perhaps that would be an option that might be entertained by the business. I certainly would be, I don't live next to it, but I certainly would be happier for none of the noise that the required bells or whistles that are made to warn people who might be in the area.
Well, let me let the applicant respond.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scalabrise, so what about a 4-month review instead of a 6-month review? Ability to make some decibel measurements and forklifts that make no backing noise.
I can answer 2 of those questions. I'll leave the forklift question to my client. So the 4-month review is reasonable.
Okay? And you take that as a condition?
Yeah, they're not hiding anything.
Yep.
Whatever makes it.
No, those trailers are right out in plain sight.
Exactly, they're right in place. So that's fine. Then there was the decimal reading. Who would do the decimal?
Well, that would be on you guys to make that measurement. I think, obviously, we wouldn't want it at 3 in the morning when activity's not happening. We'd want it at your peak times.
So the decimal, we have 2 options. We could measure them either weekly, daily, or I could go ahead and purchase the equipment that would give us a reading throughout the day.
Well, I think that would be up to you guys. We're not going to dictate.
Whichever, we don't have a problem with that. So we
I
could
think the
measure.
bottom line is on any decibel measurement, right? We're just
We'd be able
looking to understand reality, right? And like I said, we wouldn't want a measurement at 2 a.m. We'd want it when it's your busiest time. So I would just say, at a peak time, maybe a couple times a week.
Is the idea to bring that report to the check-in
At the
meetings?
review,
Okay.
to know, are we as loud as we think we are? Are we louder, or are we not as loud?
So the reason I was asking that question or making a comment about it is the equipment does record the decimals throughout the day in 24-hour period, and you could get an average or high peak and low peak and what hours are recorded.
I think
That's what I
all
was
those
saying.
data points would be valid.
Okay, so we could produce that 100% by having the equipment on the sites, and we'll provide it for you guys every 4 months if we agreed on. As far as the forklift goes, unfortunately, because it's dark after a certain amount of time, especially during the seasons, the forklifts that the gentleman was talking about, it's the hand jack, and they cannot be operated above the ground on the facility. It has to be a forklift that is reachable, and those are powered electric or propane, which they all require OSHA safety, and they need to have the sound on it. This is why we agreed with the sound for certain time, no operating with sound after 10 p.m., and that was to be able to satisfy needs of our neighbors and be minimum noise.
Very good. Thank you.
You're
Any additional comments from the public? Seeing none, I'm going to come back to the board and board members just before we deliberate. And Mr. Calabrese, I'll give you a chance to summarize if you want, but is there any additional questions out of the board? None. Mr. Calabrese, if you want to say anything in summary.
Yeah, sure, I can make a few brief comments. So just to be clear, the plan that we're referencing now was that first attachment to the supplemental submissions from July 21st. So all the conditions we discussed as the applicant confirmed are acceptable, and we're committing to this phase-out plan to make it more tolerable and just to give the community a path forward to no trailers at this site.
Okay. Thank you. Ken, we will deliberate, and I will start with you, Mr. Schultz.
Mr. Chairman, I believe my client
Oh, I'm
would
sorry.
like to make a comment before you
Oh,
close.
sorry, I didn't hear you. I was listening, though.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for...
If you could, just into the microphone a little better.
I'm Brian Calkins. I'm the Director of Operations for Elevation Food. I'm the one who met with you guys first back in February. I just, want to put out that we've been trying to work really hard with everybody to compromise, to do what's best for the community and our facility. I know there's been some strong feelings because of the past ownership and management, which is several times removed by the time we got to people like myself and Ashcon over here, based on prior promises. We weren't part of that crew. You know, that 10 years ago, whatever, 8 years ago, whatever long it was, totally different management, totally different team. And we really want to work with you guys. I also don't know if the removal of these trailers short-term are going to be an immediate fix for the community, because what it will do is it's going to force us to, you know, double and triple all deliveries. So take like an item like egg, we get egg twice a week, fresh eggs to make in our product. And we maximize the load by having that storage space. Without it, we're going to have to get it almost every day. And I don't know if that would, my feeling is that might be more disruptive, the additional traffic and different deliveries, than trying to work together to get some storage here that we both win and we can, you know, do what's best for everybody at the workplace and the community. And just thank you for hearing us out tonight.
Yeah, very good, thanks. Okay, so we will go ahead and deliberate, and I'll start with you, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I keep rehashing this case, you know, over and over, starting back with the 2013 enforcement order about these storage units. 2013, 10 years ago. And then we've got 2016 findings, a couple cases in 2022, and then we went from February of this year till now. I don't think any of us agreed to any of these units being there. I know you proposed several different plans of where to put them and stuff like that, but I don't think any of us agreed to any of them. So my feeling is these storage units aren't supposed to be here at all, so I'm a no on this.
Very good, Ken, thank you. Ken Jabin.
I would approve it based on the previous concept plan and then all the stipulations and everything that was agreed to. I think it's reasonable. I mean, we started out in a bad situation. You guys are trying to fix it, and I think it's best for the community, you know, to have a functioning company for taxes and everything and employment. So I would approve this.
Very good, Ken, thank you. Corinne.
I would also approve of this with all of the restrictions that we have in place, and with a check-in every 4 months, just to make sure that everything is in compliance.
Thank you, Corinne. Like Mr. Schulz, you know, I sat on this case back in 2013 when it was an enforcement order. I thought we hammered out a very good plan in 2014 that was supposed to alleviate this problem. Somewhere along the way that got lost, and it hasn't been followed, and in my opinion, this applicant has created their own problem by not following a zoning board decision that is 10 years old. I can appreciate all the efforts that have been made by the applicant to be a better neighbor, to reduce noise. I think a lot of good suggestions have come out of the discussions here with regards to check-ins and a lot of conditions you would take if this order were to go through. However, I don't see this as something I can vote for. I think it's detrimental to the neighborhood. It only came before us because the neighbors brought it to the selectmen. And, you know, that kind of started the ball rolling back last fall. You know, I find it a little disingenuous that, you know, you created a problem, but then you want to kind of make a deal with us to fix the problem you created, where this problem was supposed to go away 10 years ago. So I am a no for those reasons. I do appreciate the efforts, and I think a lot of good discussion has come forth. However, you don't have the votes to pass. So we can take a vote and deny you. That will prohibit you from bringing this before us for 2 years. You can withdraw without prejudice. I don't see any point in continuing, because even if a fifth colleague were here, you still wouldn't have the votes regardless of that person's vote. So, Mr. Calabrese, if you want to talk with your client and tell us what you'd like to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My client has a question for the board. If they withdraw their application, how much time do they have to remove the trailers before any fines or
Well,
penalties?
I'll refer to Mr. Zakelli, but I believe the way I understand that is this violation order dates back to April, March? And
Correct.
I don't know. I would think it's 30 days, but I'm not sure. Brian?
That's correct. And then we told, as in TOLLED, the fines until during this process. And then obviously we would have dropped the fines if they got approval. But there already are fines racked up at the moment. So
So there'll be
that
payment.
clock would actually start again after a decision. Well, actually, technically, it would be after the 20-day appeal period. But actually, no, sorry. If you withdraw, there is no decision. We'd be willing to be somewhat reasonable at this point, but there are still fines that need to be,
So you have fines that are in the rear, and then there'd be a certain amount of time that the trailers would be required to be removed, which sounds like it's probably no more than 30 days.
I think that it's up to you at this
Yeah.
point. I think this would be a good place to
I
figure
mean-
it out, and if not in the next 5 minutes, then offline, and I can do it.
What are you looking for, Mr. Calabrese? Because again, I come at it from 2016. These trailers have been here illegally. So, I'm not going to give you a year. Don't even ask.
Well, no, we already asked that. We're not going to ask that. I'll need to speak with the client.
Okay.
Could we have 5 minutes to do that?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to call the next, is the next case residential? It is not. All right, no. We'll take a 5-minute recess. Your input, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my client would like to withdraw the application and ask for a 60-day grace period for any future fines to give them time to remove the trailers.
I could probably live with 60 days. You guys okay with 60 days?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think the board, I mean, we were looking at 30, but I think 60 is reasonable given the amount of time here. And I would ask that, you know, your client make good on the past fines that are due to the town. So if I could get a motion to withdraw this application, please. Karine,
The motion to withdraw this application?
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and good luck. I hope it can work its way out.
Thank you.
All right. Go right ahead for our next case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next case is 15 Pope's Lane. This is Highway Corridor Zone. Request a variance in accordance with Table 3 of the zoning bylaw to allow for the removal of the existing building, which is non-conforming as to side setbacks, and construction of a new building which will be no closer to the side lot lines than the existing building. An existing non-conforming use will be replaced with an office use. Request is made by David Campbell, care of Nancy McCann Esquire, docket 23-5029.
Hi, Attorney McCann. I just want to let you know, and I believe you're in receipt of both letters from an abutter. We'll read in after your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
My name is Nancy McCann. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, David Campbell. David is here this evening. Also with me tonight is Will Shkuda, the project engineer. And this is regarding the property at 15 Pope's Lane. As indicated in the legal ad, this is in the Highway Corridor Zoning District. Relative to a property that has a current non-conforming use, which is a single-family home, and we are proposing to remove that non-conforming use and replace it with a small office use, an office use being a permitted use in the Highway Corridor Zoning District. And we're requesting a variance to allow the removal of the existing non-conforming building and use, and replacing that with a new building that is no more non-conforming than the existing use, meaning the proposed building is no closer to the side lot line on the southerly side than the existing building. And on the northerly side, as you're looking at the property, that would be on the right-hand side, we are moving the building significantly further away from the side lot line than the existing building. So this application involves removing a non-conforming use and replacing it with a permitted use, and decreasing the nonconformity as it relates to the structure by reducing the amount of encroachment on the north side and maintaining the side setback of the existing building on the south side. The applicant is the contract purchaser for the property at 15 Pope's Lane and has been in the construction management, general construction business for about 40 years. The proposal for this site is strictly office use. There will be no outside storage at all. This is not a contractor's yard. This is a small office building. The office building is, use is 2,240 square feet, so it is a small office building. There will be parking under the building that will also have some inside storage, but again, there will be no exterior storage on this site. The office use will have 4 to 5 employees. So again, it's a small office. It will operate Monday through Friday during normal business hours. It will not operate on the weekends. Again, as I've indicated, the existing side setback on the south is 5.2 feet, and that will remain. And on the north side, the current side setback is 9.5 feet, and that's being moved to 20.7 feet. So it's a significant improvement on that side setback. This property is located in the Highway Corridor Zone, which requires a minimum lot area of 1 acre. And the setbacks associated with the Highway Corridor Zone are established for 1 acre lots. Unfortunately, this lot is a third of an acre. So imposing 25-foot setbacks, which would be appropriate for a 1-acre site, really become very onerous and difficult on a third of an acre site. The required parking is provided on this site, and I think at this point, I will turn it over to Will to walk you through the plan, and then I'll come back to wrap it up and to discuss the letters that you've received.
Before you do that, you mentioned a setback of 20.7, but this drawing says 19.5?
It doesn't, actually, and Will can explain that to
Okay,
you, because
very
I
good.
put that in my narrative as well, and actually it's set back a little further. That was pavement width versus actual setback of the building,
Got it.
but Will will walk you
Okay.
through that.
Thank you.
You took my question.
Good evening, Will Scooter from the Moore and Cameron Group. Yeah, just for clarification on the setback, so the 19.5 is the pavement width, and the 20.7 kind of located right below that is going to be the setback to the building. So this site has been designed kind of on the flat side. It's very flat out front and then has a large slope that kind of goes back. So we try to limit our work basically to not disturb the slopes in the back. All the drainage, more or less, will be coming to the front of the property, going into an underground stormwater system, and going off the site. So it will be fully compliant with Mass stormwater standards and the stormwater bylaw. Utilities, there's existing force main for the sewer that we'll be hooking up into, and we will also use the on-site water, or try to reuse the water or run a new water service for the building. So if there's any questions about the plan, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, we'll wait. Do you have anything to close, Attorney McCann? Brian, if you could leave that up, maybe.
I'm not,
Oh, okay, there's a rendering.
We did provide building elevation drawings. We also provided a floor plan with the application, and this project does have to go through site plan approval with the planning board should you grant the variance that's being requested. With regard to the property itself, as Will just mentioned, we have a very steep slope in the back that's noted on the plan. You can see the topography, and again, we also have the 25-foot setbacks, again, appropriate for a 1-acre lot when we have just a 13,000 square foot lot. We are proposing, again, a very small office use, 2,240 square feet, and the request that we're requesting, the variance that we're requesting here is, will certainly allow us to make a reasonable use of the property and in keeping with other uses in this zoning district. As the board may know, the history of this area, this used to be residentially zoned, and you had some smaller lots here with single-family homes on them, and then town meeting rezoned this area essentially between Route 1 and Route 95 into highway corridor zone. So those residential uses, this being one of them, became a non-conforming use. And as you go down Pope's Lane, this board has been involved with a number of different properties that have been come before you for zoning relief, including the lot right next door at 17 Popes, and 13 Popes has also recently gone through site plan approval, and that's going to be developed into a 32,000 square foot office and mini storage. We have a contractors, two contractors, businesses right across the street from this, Bitcon and Mantor. So those uses all make the residential uses less desirable, and of course they're non-conforming now. You did receive a letter from Milan Patel, who is the owner of the property at 13 Pope's Lane. That came into you at the end of last week. I spoke with Mr. Patel. I've spoken to him several times since that letter came in. And you have received today a letter in which he indicates I am in support of the project as presented. And the project as designed will be an upgrade for the area, future developments at 13 and 17 Popes Lane fulfills a vital need for quality modern industrial buildings in Danvers. So when I spoke to Mr. Patel, he had a couple of requests of us, which we agreed to. One, as again, I've indicated that this has to go through site plan approval should you grant the relief. He questioned where the dumpster would be located, and we indicated that it would, of course, be enclosed, but we would not have any dumpster up against his lot line at 13 Popes. And he also requested assurance that the curbing proposed for 15 Popes Lane for this development will be done in such a way that it will be maintained, so runoff, as the curbing is intended to direct, the runoff will remain on our property, as is required under the stormwater management permit process anyway, but that the curbing will be done in such a way to maintain the curbing and make sure that runoff from this site will stay on our property and not make its way over to 13 Popes Lane. I do notice in his letter that he submitted today in support, we did discuss the fence that he mentions here, and he and I agreed that prior to site plan approval, again, if this board grants the variance requested, we would meet and discuss this fence. What I think he's talking about is a chain link fence that is his, that's encroaching onto this site. You see it on the existing conditions plan for this proposal. So we have worked out the issues with Mr. Patel, and he has provided you with a letter of support today. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I just want to, well, first of all, whoever's phone is dinging, can you please turn it off? And Attorney McCann, so I just want to be clear, because I don't think 13 came before us. Is that being, a site being redeveloped by right? Or am I
Yes,
just
it went
not
through site
remembering
plan
it?
approval. It originally came here for a different type of use, and that use was withdrawn. The use that was ultimately approved, and it has already gone through site plan approval and is fully permitted, is a 32,000 square foot office and
And that's at
warehouse
number
mini
13.
storage. And that is at 13.
Okay, so I guess we won't read in the letter of opposition for Mr. Patel. Seems like you've summarized a letter that we got sent today.
No, that's
Mr.
not a,
Chairman,
that's
also-
not
You
a
have that,
summary.
right?
No, that's not a summary. That's the email from Mr. Patel.
Patel.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
In the first email that I have before me, too, I don't know if you covered this, Attorney McCann, he had a discrepancy in the parking calculations. Should it be actual gross floor area, not footprint? Are we okay with
That
the?
get
I think we're
addressed?
okay with that. We comply with the parking requirement.
That was
Yeah.
the only other thing I saw. in
And
his
that
email.
would probably be ferreted out, I would assume, at planning board anyway.
It will,
Yes,
yes.
okay.
But we will not be seeking any waivers as to parking. We comply with parking.
Okay, so I was trying to just understand, because when I see a residential house here and then someone in opposition, and now I understand better. So thank you. Okay, anything else you want to present to us?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. We'll start with questions, and we'll start down there with you, Corinne.
Attorney McCann, you stated that in our package that we received floor plans. I didn't see floor plans in mine, so maybe, Mr. Zakelli, could we put the floor plans up?
Yeah, I don't have one either.
There was there's no, the garage is really just these three spaces on the ground floor. So there is a floor plan in there, but there's not like plans. It's just one plan. It's the second floor. So, but I'll get it up. But it should be in your packet.
Okay.
You should also have the floor plan
Yeah, I don't-
of the
I don't have anything,
office.
Brian.
I don't either.
That
Alls we
that was submitted
received was this,
end of last week to clarify.
we received this.
Yeah. And then the docket sheet.
Thank you.
Does that help you, Corinne?
But this is the second floor, correct?
That's right. The first floor is just garage space.
And is the garage space underground? Or is it, so in other words, is the building 2 stories and the first floor is the garage and then the second story is like the office space?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a mezzanine, so I guess you can see down on portions of the garage.
Okay. Okay, and when you're saying there are 3 garage spaces, it's because there are 3 garage doors on that
Correct.
plan, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. Ken, Jarvin?
So there was also some parking out back. It was mentioned that there's parking underground?
No, parking under the building, which
Under the
is the
building.
first floor.
Okay, so then also there's parking spaces in the rear?
Yes.
So I guess the calculation works, I mean, based
Yes.
on the park, okay, thanks.
And Ken Schultz?
Thank you. Do we have any signage for this building?
We do not have any signage proposed as of yet.
Okay,
It will be compliant. We're not asking for any zoning relief for signage.
okay. And what about lighting?
That will be done
Standard
through,
parking
that'll be
lot
done
lighting?
through site plan
planning.
approval. We'll have to submit a photometric plan.
Yeah, okay. No further questions.
And so Attorney McCann, I take it, so these are 3 high bay doors that are going to be on the side of this building,
Yes.
not on the front? Or are they on the front? Am I, have my orientation correct, incorrect?
I'm going to ask Will.
Yes. Let's ask Will.
Yeah, so there'll be 3 garage doors on the face of this building.
But these are high bay doors, so how high are the doors? What's the height of these doors? So an 18-wheeler can pull in?
I will ask our client. Hold on a
Okay.
sec. Approximately 10 feet.
10 feet in height. Okay. And, so this looks like kind of a standard A-frame type of metal structure.
Yep, steel frame building, correct.
Okay. And the curb cut isn't changing from what's presently there?
No, it will be adjusted to be the 24-foot width required.
And that's something that's done through DPW?
Site plan.
Site plan will do that as well. Very good. I don't think I have, entrance to the building will be on the same side as the garage doors?
There will be a man door most likely on that side, but then the rear will also have a door where the parking is, so you can access it directly from the parking spots out back as well.
And any exterior stairs?
Nope, everything's going to be interior as proposed right now.
Okay. I have no further questions. Any additional from the board? I'll go out to the public on this. This is 15 Pope's Lane. Looking for both a finding and a variance, I believe, correct? That's where I need your help.
I've requested a finding out of an abundance of caution, but I believe it is the planning director's interpretation that a finding is not needed because this is
So
a
just the variance.
non-conforming lot. Is that correct, Mr.
That's correct.
Zucchelli?
And that nonconformity is based on lot size for highway corridor, not being 1 acre,
And side setback.
and setbacks,
Side setback.
side setbacks.
Right, and it's
Which
due
we
to-
established as 20.7
Correct,
and 5.2.
correct.
Okay. Anybody here from the public? Yes.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask, but what was mentioned was there is a steep slope behind this building. Will it be covered with proper vegetation so it doesn't turn into a mudslide as we've had in different areas of the country because of excessive rain?
Yeah, I think that's more something for a site plan.
That's why I'm asking.
Yep. Attorney McCann would correct me if I was wrong. So I'm not wrong. I'm right. She doesn't say that too often either. Okay, any other questions from the public? Hearing none, I will come back and we will deliberate on 15 Pope's Lane. Karine,
I will vote for this.
thank you. Ken?
That house looks pretty good shape. It's a shame to see it ripped down, but I understand why. Yeah, I would vote for this. Yep.
Thank you, Ken. And Ken?
Yeah, I would vote for this. I think it becomes more compliant, so I have no problem with this. I'll vote for it.
Yeah, I think this is one of those odd neighborhoods where it was zoned residential, as you pointed out. It's now highway corridor, Many of the uses of Pope's Lane, to me, seem in keeping with this. I want to say there may only be 2 houses left on that street. Is that sound about right? So, and one of them's going away, and this is the second one going away. So, I see this kind of transformation on Pope's Lane as appropriate, so I, too, would vote in favor. So if I could get a motion, please.
Want me to read it, Corinne? I will. I make a motion to issue the variance in accordance with Table 3 of the zoning bylaw to allow the removal of an existing building which is non-conforming as to side setbacks and construction of a new building which will be no closer than the side lot lines that the existing building. An existing non-conforming use will be replaced with an office use. This condition does not affect the properties or structures in the same zoning district. A literal enforcement of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the applicant. Granting this variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not nullify or derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw.
I've got a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
And seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You pass. Good luck. All right. Moving right along.
Our next case is 80 Andover Street. This is Zone Route 114A. Request modification to a previous variance decision, docket 93-2703, to allow for 2 wall signs on the main building to be larger than allowed according to Section 37, and 2 sets of channel letters that will be 27.38 square feet. Additionally, a new monolith-style pylon is proposed to replace an existing pylon sign. Request is made by Amy Murray, care of AG Signs and Graphics, docket 23-5030.
Anybody here for 80 Andover Street? And you are?
My name's Kevin Michaud. I'm owner of Michaud Mitsubishi.
All right, good evening.
Good evening. Nice to see you all, Chairman, Board.
Good to be seen.
Yeah, I agree. That's my building there, and Mitsubishi just came out with a new image program. So they're kind of strong-arming me to change the sign that's on the building. That sign that's on there, well, you can't see the old sign, but I think the company sent you what the old, let me put this up here, what the old sign looks like. So we're essentially taking down the old sign, putting that up. The old pylon sign, that's kind of got, it's rusty and stuff, so the pylons, that sign there is part of the front there. But there's the pylon. I have a gray pylon sign in front of my building now. All we're doing is taking the gray one down and putting that up. But according to my sign company, we needed a variance here.
Okay, that's all you have to present?
That's it.
All right, we'll ask some questions. We'll start there with you, Mr. Scholes.
Thank you. Mr. Michaud, so this is the sign that's going up with the pole and the sign, not the monolith?
No, this sign is
This one's replacing the monolith.
Yeah, this sign's replacing the flag sign that's there right now.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ken Javner.
So that new sign compared to the existing monolith, what's the square footage difference? I mean, is it,
I don't think it's any different, to be honest with you.
okay, pretty close?
Yeah, I know that the sign company sent you all the information there.
Okay, I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Corinne?
It seems as if all of these car companies, their parent companies are telling them they need all new signage, everything's being rebranded. My only question to you, how many signs are you replacing? Are you replacing all of your signs?
We have, yes, we are. We're actually taking one down. We have a parts and service sign. We're just putting up service. So in the front of my building, yeah, actually, if you ever go by my building, you can't even see the sign that's on there. I don't know if you've drove by the building, but this one's going on the facade, the front, that the existing one's up now. It's gray, it's going to black. And then that pylon sign is gray, it's going to black. And then in the back of my building is a service sign that was service and parts to denote when you pull in where to go, and that's gray, and the new one's black. So this is a new image program for Mitsubishi nationally. There's 400 stores across the country, so they're all going from gray and red to black and white. So it's pretty straightforward.
So basically, it's just part of your rebranding, and you're actually taking one sign down. So you'll have one less sign. Or one, yes, you're taking the parts part off.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's being replaced with service, is it not?
it is, yeah.
Instead of parts and service.
Instead
Yeah,
of
but I-
parts and service, it's just
Right,
gonna say
one says
service.
parts and, the old one said parts and service, and now it's just going to say service,
Correct.
Okay. No further questions, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Corinne. So, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but the way we calculate square footage on signs is we take the whole box, not just the letters. So this is increasing in size, correct?
Honestly, I don't think it is. According to my sign company, who's supposed to be on Zoom here.
Are they?
She is.
Oh, there's Amy right there.
I guess
Okay.
that's what I'd like to hear. I'd like to understand. I see in the package, the size for the Mitsubishi Motors, the size for Michaud, and the size for service, and I see the size on the pylon sign. I'd like to know what they're coming from, or what they are currently. So if maybe you could summarize that in that order?
Well, the pylon sign is actually a little bit smaller, because if you look at the existing, it has, it should be in the last page of the package I sent, I thought. Yeah, because I think you're looking at the new document that was sent, because originally we were asking for a monolith type pylon sign, but we went back to the cantilever pole sign.
So just to be clear, you're going with a cantilever pole sign and not the monolith?
Correct.
Okay, so this,
And that's what's existing as well, but the cabinet that we're proposing is actually a little bit smaller than the existing.
okay, so this is not the sign you're gonna have?
No.
It's
Correct.
this- It's this one?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was.
Which is existing right now.
Got it. So this one, we're saying slightly smaller, but what I'd like to know, and my question is, on the three other signs, what are the current sizes of those three signs?
So the current wall sign on the front facade is 2 feet by 33 feet, so roughly 66 square feet.
Okay,
I believe that was also approved on that same docket that the freestanding sign was approved on. Or it may have been a previous variance, because I know at one point the dealership went from like 15 signs down to 3, so. But I think that, Mitsubishi, when they were doing the new corporate branding, they were very thoughtful in their design, with the added black ACM backer behind the signage, basically to alleviate the penetrations into the building, I think, in addition to obviously a design element.
okay, and these are lit signs?
They are.
And obviously, they turn off an hour after your business closes?
I think we shut them off around 11. But when you say lit, Mr. Chairman, they're very, very lightly illuminated.
Okay.
You have to, from the 114, you'd have to maybe take binoculars to see it.
Well, as somebody, I guess, obviously, I don't know your business like you do, but obviously, this sign package seems to be getting forced on you. Is this helping you feel, or to be determined?
I think it will, but, if I could...
All right, so explain to me, how will it?
Well, I think it might be a little bit more conducive to your eye than the previous signs. It's more...
Just the color change.
Yeah, the color change.
Gotcha.
But it's significantly smaller than every other dealership on the strip. If you go down and look at
The
Chambers.
Vegas Strip of 114.
Well, we're considered a pretty good
And
little
we had a
dealership
guy who
in
used to
town.
sit on this board, and that's what we called him the sign baron, so. All right, I don't have any additional questions. Anybody else?
No.
Anyone from the public? See this? That's what I guess I'm not understanding.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Being aware of how the town feels about all the signage on Route 114, I appreciate some assurance that the pylon sign that's going to replace the one that's there now is in fact smaller. Not that the town wouldn't like to see these pylon signs or the excessive use of signs on 114 disappear. So I'm just concerned about that it's at least smaller, if not eliminated. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you answer that, I guess, online? And I'm sorry, I didn't catch
Oh,
your
that-
name.
My name is Amy. But yeah, the cabinet itself is smaller, and the height is smaller too. It was at 22 feet, and it's going to be at 20 feet.
Our property is compromised by National Grid wiring that goes across, so our poles are 10 feet shorter than every other dealer on the strip, and our sign is shorter because of the distance between the National Grid wires. They have an easement over my property.
Gotcha.
So there's no problem with the size of the sign. You can barely see it. If it was up to me, but I know we couldn't do it, I'd put one like the size of Chambers or one of these others, but I just can't do it.
All right, well, before I do have one additional question, because I guess one thing I'm still confused on. When I look at this, your existing, you have this kind of smaller, I guess, sign. And it looks to me like this one's increasing, so I know that's kind of what you're asking for. You're asking for 2 sets of channeled letters, but I guess maybe this is more for Ms. Murray here. Do you understand how our bylaw is written for signs? We
Yes.
draw a square around the whole box. It doesn't matter the size of the font or the letters within that box. And you said
Yeah.
66 square feet. Is that what this new black strip is? This is 66 square feet?
No, the existing is 66 square feet.
Okay.
If you were to add that up at 4 feet by 50 feet, you'd be at 200 square feet. But again, initially, I understand how the bylaws are written. I think just aesthetically, we were hoping that it would be considered an architectural detail rather than an actual sign.
No, I think this is a sign. But you keep saying 66, but I see dimensions of 4 feet by 50 feet. That says 200 square feet to me.
Right, the existing sign, which you can't see because it's underneath this on the rendering, but if you look at the other document that I sent, I do have an image of the existing on there, and that sign is 33 feet by 2 feet, so it's 66 feet, square feet, rather, sorry.
Okay, so existing 66, but you're going to 200.
If you are counting the black ACM, then I suppose,
am.
yes.
I am. Because that's the sign, correct? That's the whole package. It's gonna be mounted on the facade of the building, correct?
Right,
The black background. Okay. I just want to be
Correct,
clear for
yes.
numbers, because when we refer back to these things, I think it's important that we're detailing square footage. So we're going
Okay.
from a 66 square foot sign, and this is more for the board members, I guess, to a 200 square foot sign in the front of the building. And I measured, I totaled the other 3 signs. I came up with 31.7, but I think your application says 27.38, so I guess explain that discrepancy, or do I have my math wrong?
I
have
think, well, it's written wrong on the
17.54.
agenda.
I'm sorry? The chief freeze?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking to me?
Well, I'm just basing it on what's submitted. I have 17.54, I have 9.16, and I have 5. And that, to me, totals up at 31.7 square feet.
Oh, right. Well, the service sign isn't on its own wall, so I thought it was calculated by the dimensions of that wall that it's on, the service sign.
That's going to be coming down and replaced by the black one. Mr. Chairman, I know where you're going when you're trying to say the front there.
Yeah.
If you drive by my building,
Yep.
which my son's here to attest, you can't even see the sign that's on there. It was a mistake 17 years ago when I bought the place to put up that little one. I have pictures on my camera I could show you if you want to see it. Customers constantly say, "We can't find you."
Okay.
And I looked, and they pull into VW, they'll pull into Chevy. They're driving 40 miles an hour, so the building has to be denoted where, whether it's Mitsubishi, if it's Chevy, if it's VW, Toyota, whatever. And the new sign package that Mitsubishi National just come out with encompasses, the black, that's part of the front, but I mean, the name Mitsubishi and the name Misho is really the sign, but I know what the bylaws say, and you're saying,
Okay.
yeah.
And I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think
mean-
it does help it stick out. I'm just trying to get clarity on the physical size,
I agree.
because this
But
is,
if you
much more than 10% of the facade, right, at 200 square feet.
well,
I'm just, again, I just want to make sure we're capturing it correctly, but, all right, I don't have any additional questions. Are we all good?
Yes,
We will deliberate, and I believe I started with you, Mr. Ken Scholes.
I think you did. I have no problem with the sign changes. I mean, I get brands change and everything updates. I think this is less detrimental than was there, to be honest. So I'm a yes for this.
Very good. Ken, Javin.
I would approve this too. I see the words as the signs, and then that black, it might as well, it could be painted black with white lettering, but, so I don't think it's, to me, it's not distinguished as a 200 square foot sign, but I understand the bylaw as well. I would approve of this, so.
Thank you, Ken. Corinne?
I would approve this. I actually like the black. I think it makes it stand out more. And if you look at this, you can't even read it.
that's
So-
what, 17 years ago, when that sign went up, I said, "That's my sign." I went, "Oh, my God."
Silver on silver isn't really,
Well,
isn't
thank
gonna
you.
make it stand out. So I am a yes.
Well, and to someone who wears 3 pairs of glasses, I couldn't find that sign at night. It saved my life, so I do think it's a better look. I just want to make sure we're capturing it correctly for your request, because I believe, I just want to make sure, I guess maybe with you, Brian, I could clarify that.
Sure. So I actually agree with Ken Jarvinen that you could achieve the same effect through paint. So if you want to have a tight decision or a condition, the idea is that the ACM would be that full 200, but it's not. It is misleading to say that you're approving a 200 square foot sign.
Yeah.
So you could say that the ACM material measures 200 square feet, but that you're giving a variance for
17, whatever it came out to.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you
The
okay with
quoted,
that?
the
You're
quoted
okay
square
with that?
footage.
That's what matters to me. Okay. Could I get a motion, please?
Corinne, you want to read this? or you
I
want me
will
to?
read this
Okay.
one.
80 Andover.
80 Andover Street, motion to modify a previous variance decision, docket number 93-2703, to allow for 2 wall signs on the building, on the main building to be larger than allowed according to section 37, and 2 sets of channel letters that will that will be 27.38 square feet. Additionally, a new monolith-style pylon
Actually,
is,
scratch that though, it should be pylon, right?
Yeah, that was based on the original submission.
Yep,
Yep.
okay.
so we're just a pylon.
Yeah.
Additionally, a pylon is proposed to replace an existing pylon sign.
Okay,
Um,
you good?
It continues
Oh,
on
I'm
the
sorry.
next page. This condition does not affect other properties or structures in the same zoning district. A literal enforcement of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the applicant. Granting this variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not nullify or derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw.
Okay, I've got a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. You're all set?
Thank you very much,
Yep,
Board.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Ready?
All right, looks like we have a number of, we have 4 residential cases. So I've been told that this is sometimes nerve-wracking for people, so we'll try to help you through that process. And if you have questions or you're not sure how to present, please ask and we'll try to walk you through it. So go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next case is 11 Belgian Road, zoned R2. Request a finding under Section 3.11.A, 1 and 2, to add a second floor to an existing non-conforming house. The house is non-conforming with respect to side and front setback. The side setback is 12 feet 7 inches, will remain unchanged, while the front setback is proposed to go from 24.8 feet to 20.8 feet. Request is made by Kristen Byrne, docket 23-5031.
Hi, Kristen Byrne, 11 Belgian Road. It's pretty simply laid out there. It's not a huge change to the house. We're looking to add a 4-foot entryway on the front of the house to accommodate straightening the stairs to the second floor. And that's basically the extent of it.
You could just speak into the mic a little bit.
Sorry about that.
closer. So that's it? You just,
It's just a 4-foot entryway to accommodate straightening the stairs.
and you're doing an addition to the top of the house?
The second floor, yeah, which is currently unfinished.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, Karine.
I do not have any questions, thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Let's see. I don't have any questions.
And Mr. Scholes.
I see what you're trying to do, so I have no questions.
I guess the only question, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So the 20.8 setback, you're basically making a breezeway in the front that'll be enclosed?
Yes,
Okay, and that's why we counted in the setback.
Yeah.
And then the second floor, the overhangs, will it be the same?
there's no overhangs. It sits on the existing footprint.
Okay. So the setback of 12.7 and 32.4 are not going to change?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Anybody from the public here on 11 Belgian Road? Hearing none, I will come back to the board. Karine?
I will vote for this.
Ken?
I also will vote for this.
And I will vote for this.
And, yeah, I see this as a very modest change. It looks like it'll give you some much-needed square footage enhancements to the house. Stay up there while we vote. Okay, if I could get a motion, please.
I make a motion to issue the finding under Section 3.11.A, 1 and 2, to add a second floor to an existing non-conforming house. House is non-conforming with respect to side and front setback. The side setback, 12.7 feet, will remain unchanged, while the front setback is proposed to go from 24.8 feet to 20.8 feet. The extension or enlargement is appropriate in scale and mass for the neighborhood.
I've got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Moving right along. Our
Moving right
next
along.
case is 44 Locust Street. This is also zoned R2. Request for a finding under Table 2 of the Danvers zoning bylaw to allow an addition that will be located closer to the side property line than permitted as of right. Current house and lot are non-conforming due to the side and front setback, lot size, and frontage. Proposed addition will be located 3.3 feet from the side property line, where currently the side property line is 3.6 feet from the house. Request is made by Elena Brousseau, care of Costas Apostolo Poulos, excuse me if I messed that up, docket 23-5032.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. My name's Eric Jordan. I'm with Sea Glass Architects. I'm the architect.
Is the owner here as well?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Tell us what you'd like to do.
So we're looking to put a three-season porch to the rear of the property that will also be a covered entry to the left side of the setback, and it'll allow continuous egress from the left side of the property, so it'll be all open so you can see with the gable. It'll have the door and granite steps going up, and so there'll be columns at the end, and it'll be very open, and then towards the right would be enclosed, and it would be heated with electric heaters and a covered porch with half walls and stone columns. And there would be double doors on both sides for symmetry, and to also allow people to access the basement bulkhead. That would be always accessible.
So,
And it would match, the roof lines would match the existing roof line. You can see the existing covered porch on this elevation would match, so we wouldn't go any higher.
okay, anything additional you want to add?
No, that's it.
Ken, let's start with you.
I don't think I have any questions. No, I'm okay. No questions.
Very good. Ken Javin.
So are you using that old, the existing concrete slab in the back?
No, we're not going to reuse that, no.
Okay.
It's not in good shape.
Yeah. So you're only going to be 3 inches closer to the side setback?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's actually to the pillar, the stone, and it actually gets a little bit better to the column that sits above it. And the overhang is going to be exactly the way the overhang is on the existing house, so it's not going to penetrate or progress further on the left.
Okay. Thank you.
Corinne.
First of all, these plants are beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a very, very nice addition to the property. I noticed that in the condo docs, obviously, there are 3 condos there now, and this will be exclusive use of condo number 3.
That's correct.
In the condo docs, there's a provision that allows the unit owner of 3 to construct a 6 by 10 deck at the rear of Unit 3. So obviously, this doesn't comply with that. So did the owner of number 3 get condo approval in order to expand this? Do you know?
I do not know, but I believe they have support from every unit holder, right?
Oh, okay.
Do we
Okay.
have something in writing?
Yes.
Are all the condo owners here tonight? Okay. Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
that's a yes.
I mean, that's kind of between, it's really not, I guess, for us to determine that, but if we do give approval for this, I just wanted to confirm that the condo board and the unit owners are all on board to put this in the back. Because
Right.
it is bigger than what is in the condo docs.
That's right. I recommended that they update the condo docs after this with an attorney and incorporate the approved plan.
That is a very good idea.
Yes.
Thank you.
Put an amendment on.
Thanks, Corinne. Yeah, I agree with Corinne. I think the rendering here looks very nice. It looks like it'll be a great add-on to the building. I just want to understand the access to the bulkhead a little better, and I guess so right now, I did a site visit yesterday, and, you know, on the right-hand side, there's an existing porch there, so I guess how do the other condo owners, or how are they going to access this bulkhead?
So if you bring up the floor plan,
Hold on just a sec. All I have are these plans and then the plot plan.
there's a floor, I just had seen the floor plan. Yeah, there you go. See it? So you can see the double door is always going to be accessible and open on the right-hand side, and so it's always going to be accessible to the bulkhead. So all the unit holders are going to be able to open those double doors on the right-hand side and gain access, and those doors are going to always be open from the inside and out for all unit holders.
So the bulkhead is where? Show me on there. So they'll have to go through this three-season porch to get to the bulkhead?
Yes, they kind of understand that it's going to be in the space, and they commented that they would like the double door to get good access in and out.
Things, okay.
Mhm.
And explain to me again, why is the setback changing by, it looks like just 3 inches, but is it because?
It's because the angle of the lot goes a little closer as it goes further back.
And the existing slab will be torn out, and a new one will be poured?
That's right. I'm going to put granite steps up to the door.
Okay. And I do notice that one discrepancy from the rendering to the other drawing, it shows these, I guess, transom-type windows above the roof line for lighting. So, I guess...
The skylights?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, well, that was a later add, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
so...
Because I was concerned about light, bringing
Sure,
light in
yeah,
there.
yeah, no, it makes sense. You got a roof coming over, you're gonna block the light
Yes,
from the
we had
windows.
we had other designs that would bring light further in, so we reduced the scale of this and this design, and we incorporated the skylights to get into the light.
So those windows are gonna be in here?
Yes, they're going to be in the covered porch.
Above the roof line?
On the roof. They're going to be skylights on the roof.
In the roof?
It's going to be in the plane of the roof, right?
Okay,
Mhm.
got it. So what type of pitch are we talking on that?
It's a
roof?
412 pitch.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Any additional questions, guys?
Just
Yeah, go
one
ahead,
more. Again, going back to the condo docs, it allows permission to install 2 skylights, and I think there are 3 here. So when you do your amendment, you should amend that as well.
Yes, I think we can make this an amendment and have a graphic exhibit A maybe, and
Yeah.
actually tie it in. Not that I'm an attorney.
Included in the amendment.
Okay,
Right. Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Very good. I'll go out to the public on, this is 44 Locust Street. Anybody who would like to be heard? Nope. Okay, where did I start? Ken?
Think with me, yeah.
Ken, what do you think?
You know, it never ceases to amaze me the positioning they put these buildings on these lots. I know it was pre-zoning and everything like that, but obviously the hardship is the size and shape of the lot and the position of the building, so I have no problem with this.
And Ken Jarvinen?
I'll vote for this too.
Corinne?
I will vote for this.
Yeah, I see this as an improvement. It's, you know, very, I imagine, difficult getting in and out of your driveway, as I witnessed yesterday. However, I'm glad Corinne has pointed out, and again, it's not our area to step into condo docs, but I would strongly encourage you to update that and get it in writing. Because you 3 may agree right now, but the next 3 might not. So, anyways, could I get a motion, please?
All right, so 44 Locust Street, R2 23-5032. Motion to issue a finding under Table 2 of the Danvers zoning bylaw to allow an addition that will be located closer to the side property line than permitted as of right. Current house and lot are non-conforming due to side and front setback, lot size, and frontage. Proposed addition will be located 3.3 feet from the side property line, where currently the side property line is 3.6 feet, 3 feet 6 inches from the house. The extension or enlargement is appropriate in scale and mass for the neighborhood.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Hope it works out well. All right,
Ready?
moving along.
Moving along. Our next case is 19 Cornell Road, zoned R3. Request for a finding related to Section 3.11 of the Danvers zoning bylaw to construct an addition that will be located closer to the side setback than allowed as of right. The house is pre-existing non-conforming due to the side setback, 12.7 feet, where 20 feet is required, and the lot is non-conforming due to the size, 18,060 square feet, where 30,000 is required. Request is made by Christopher and Marissa DiNardo, docket 23-5033.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Board. I'm Chris DiNardo of 19 Cornell. Very nice to meet everyone. I'm happy you said everyone gets nervous that comes up here, because I've never done this before, so.
No worries,
You're gonna do fine.
just talk into that microphone.
I was excited. So we're here, my wife's not able to be here, but myself and her were requesting a finding to extend our home due to a growing family. I actually have a 15-day-old at home. That's why my wife isn't here. Thank you. So obviously, with the typical Campanelli homes, right, no basement, no attic, just growing family, and need to extend a little bit. On one side of the reason why we're going here is this is an existing setback that was also already kind of on an existing home, right? So we're just trying to go straight out from where we currently are in as close to the road without being non-conforming there. So what's going on right now is the pre-existing non-conforming setback, we're at the 12.7 and 20 is required again, but it was pre-existing. So just trying not to go any closer, just come straight out to the road from that where we currently are. We did have an architect look at this. I had the house obviously surveyed that you can see here. Scott Golden did the architectural work. We do have a town easement, which you can probably see quite large on the other side of the property.
I see that.
So this is where we decided to go. On that side, we didn't want to actually go up. I hope to live here for a long time and never have to go upstairs, to be honest. So the thought was to go straight up.
Okay, is that all you have to present?
That is all I have to present.
Very good. We'll go down there to you, Karine.
I do not have any questions.
Thank you. Ken Chavanon.
I don't have any questions either.
Mr. Scholes.
I think I'm good. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Dono, I did a site visit yesterday. I did notice there's a large tree in your front yard. I don't know if it's yours or the neighbors. What do we think the impact of this addition will be to that?
Okay, so there's two trees right there. I'm guessing you're talking about. It is the very large one.
Yeah.
Is the neighbor's. It will not be impacted at all because I actually have a tree that's even closer, like right next to that one.
Okay.
And that one I'll either take out if needed or we'll trim it back to make sure it works. So I actually have a tree that sits right next to that really, really large tree.
And this will be an addition on slab?
Yes.
And I do understand the easement part of it doesn't allow you to expand on the left side.
Correct.
And this, how big is this addition? Square footage wise?
I think in total 560.
560?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, I see it here, 560, yes, okay. That's all I wanted to know about is the tree. I will go out to the public on 19 Cornell Road. Hi, good evening.
Good evening. My name's Steve DiCerro. I live at 25 Cornell Road.
25.
I've lived there 20 years and met Chris and his wife when they moved in. And I believe because of his growing family, he should be allowed to do this. He takes very good care of his property. We've had no problems as far as neighbors are concerned. Not too many people on that street are doing any work. I mean, as far as expanding. So what he's doing doesn't seem to me that bad.
So you're in support.
Yes, I do.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else here on 19 Cornell Road? Hearing none, I will come back to the board and deliberate. Corinne.
I will vote for this.
Thank you. Ken?
I'll vote for this too.
And Ken?
Yeah, I'll vote for this. We like to hear from the neighbors. Thank you. That's just what we want to hear. He's a little stranglehold. He cannot go on the left-hand side of this building, so I'll vote for this, no problem.
Yeah, normally an addition that comes towards the front is a little bit odd to me, but I understand your constraints there. I'm happy to see you're gonna do everything in your power to keep not only your own tree, but the neighbor's tree intact, so, and it's great that you're increasing the size of this house, and it sounds like it'll be a big benefit to your family. So, that said, I would also vote in favor, and if I could get a motion, please.
I'll do this one.
Okay.
19 Cornell Road, R3, application number 23-5033. I make a motion to issue a finding related to section 3.11 of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to construct an addition that will be located closer to the side setback than allowed as of right. House is pre-existing, non-conforming due to side setback 12.7 feet where 20 feet is required, and lot is non-conforming due to size, 18,060 square feet where 30,000 square feet is required. The extension or enlargement is appropriate in scale and mass for the neighborhood.
I've got a motion.
I'll second.
I've got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the
Thank you.
baby.
Yes.
All right, and last but not least,
Last but not least.
I think we're doing pretty good considering how many
Our
cases.
final case is 58 Burley Street, zoned R2. Request for a special permit under section 9.2 to build an extended family living area that will be located in a detached structure in greater than 750 square feet. 867 square feet proposed. Request is made by Jason Camo and Michelle Russell, care of James DeBurrow, docket 23-5034.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Chair. Good evening, board members. My name is James DeBarrow. I'm working with my clients here, Michelle Russell and Jason Como, on this detached garage here. The purpose of the EFLA that we're trying to achieve here is to put Michelle's parents in. Kathy and John Russell are planning to be in this space above the garage area. As mentioned before, we are in a detached structure, which doesn't require a special permit, as well as looking at, we are over the design standard of 750 square feet for these EFLA areas as well. So that's what we were asking for relief on tonight, and we can go through a little bit through the history of the garage itself. I was contracted with Jason and Michelle in 2022 to create the structure. I know Jason as a personal friend through, we both have interest in cars, right? And we did create this garage for storage of his cars. As it sits now and as it's completed, it does have just storage space above. It is about 33, I believe, by 29 clear space upstairs in the space where we would have the EFLA. And that's essentially where we're planning on putting the accessory apartment for the family members. And that's all I have to present.
I'm gonna go out to Brian, because I think there was a discrepancy on the square footage. Did I see something?
Correct, yes. There was a square footage discrepancy between the PDF that was, or in the packet you have in hand with the The diagram showing the square footage allotments, it does have a 19-foot square foot difference in that the one that you have in hand actually is increased by 19 square feet to 886, I believe.
Yeah, so I guess bottom line it for me, which is the number you seek?
It's 886 is the one we're seeking
So
today.
what is in this package is what you're looking for?
Correct. And
886.39.
correct. And to that end also, that 19 square feet or so is actually around 9 linear square feet of closet space that and the clients have removed thus far from just going through iterations of design here.
Okay, because your request was for 867.
Correct.
Okay, so it's 886. All right, before I turn it over to board members, I guess what begs the question to me for an EFLA is, you know, it doesn't really seem conducive to elderly parents, or maybe they're not elderly now, but down the road, where this is a second floor. So, I guess speak to that. How do you
Correct.
see
There are a few
this
primary.
functioning?
Correct. I totally hear you on that one. There are a few primary reasons why we are looking to seek the EFLA. One being is that they do plan on having a growing family in the coming future to have, babysitting on site, if you will, as well as in today's market, obviously, it's harder and harder to buy a house with the rates of where they're at currently. So those are two reasons on why they are planning to be in that space. But as you do know, or as you can kind of deduce here, you're right. There's a good number of stairs here, but her parents are in good health and they're willing to traverse the stairs and get their exercise.
All right, well, I will turn it over to the board for questions, and we'll start there with you, Mr. Scholes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Typically, we have a little issue with detached buildings becoming EFLAs. How can I explain this? So will this have its own address?
I
So
don't
they
believe-
can get mail and
It'll be addressed
whatnot?
to the primary residence, which is 15 Burley's.
Cannot have a separate address.
No separate.
Right. That's, I just want to be sure of that.
You can't.
Or utilities.
Correct.
Right, or utilities. And obviously, it's just for family members.
Correct. That is
Yes.
correct.
I have no further questions, I don't think.
Ken J.
So what would be the common shared area?
The common shared area is the garage space below, where you could access that garage space for our residents here, or is either through, there's a man door in the back that is able to be accessed, as well as any typical garage door is, you have a garage door opener that can open up the garage door as well.
Okay, so you said the main entrance for people is in the back?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I have no other questions.
Corinne?
I'm looking at the floor plans for kind of the EFLA that's upstairs, and you have the primary bedroom, and then you have, I believe, it's the walk-in closet that's next to it?
Correct.
Is that what WIC is?
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. No further questions.
Yes, Corinne. I mean, again, I have more comments, I guess, than questions, because I just find this is difficult for aging parents on a second floor, but it's also oversized, and when it's an accessory structure like this, to me, there really isn't a common area.
And to speak a little bit about the overage on size, it was not the intent to build the garage in the first place to have the EFLA up above. If that was to be the case, it would have been designed as such and would have been below the 750 square feet. It's just matter of fact that it is 33 by 29 on the inside, and that the space is actually larger than the 750 that is typically.
And the stairs are at the back of the property? Is that what I see?
Correct. The stairs back of the property that go plan east and then hit a landing, and then a couple more stairs down into the garage space.
And I did do a site visit yesterday. I did notice there's I guess, this small, I guess patio area up the top? Can
Oh,
you
yeah,
talk about that a little bit?
Yes, there's a small a French door that does open up to a small patio space that does allow someone to be up there if they were to have, to be out just to get fresh air if they wanted to. If they essentially, one of the tenets of making a space habitable is making sure that you have outdoor space.
But there's no egress from that point except through the space itself?
Correct, that is correct.
And I do know the pool is being put on site. I guess I'm trying to understand the overall layout of the property because it seems like it's in a state of construction right now. So how, right now, I guess the driveway entrance is on, if I'm looking at the property, to the right-hand side?
Correct, yep,
And that'll take you directly to this structure in the back?
that is correct.
And then I'm assuming there's some type of planned fencing or something? Not assumed, but I mean, it's required, right? So,
I haven't discussed with my clients who are here today as well, but yes, that's part of the plan, to fencing it.
okay. I guess I don't have any additional questions. Anybody else? We'll go out to the public on this 58 Burley Street. Yeah, we'll go right here first, yeah.
Hello, Board. My name is Nancy Sweeter, and I live next door at 60 Burley Street, and I've
Good
been
evening.
there. Hi, I've been there for 47 years. So as you can imagine, anything like that would put like an apartment next door to me is concerning to myself and my husband. If they are allowed to have this living space, is it considered an apartment?
It's not. It's considered what the town calls an EFLA, which is an extended family living area. Comes with a deed restriction, so the owner of the property can only have family members live there. It's not an apartment. It's not something they can rent on Craigslist, etc.
Okay.
If they were to sell the property, I believe the new owner has, I'm going to lean on Brian, there's a certain amount of time where they have to make that same request, I believe.
Right, it's with, if they want to use the EFLA, they can, and then sign an affidavit saying that it's going to be family, essentially, but not having to go through a special permit process, or they would have to abandon that living space.
Yeah. So the town, and this was done by the town a number of years ago to basically, try to dissuade people from putting in illegal in-law apartments. So we have a bunch of restrictions around it. One of them is size, 750 square feet. They're asking for something slightly over that. And a common area shared by both, and they're stating that will be the garage. So, but it would be family members only.
Okay, that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah, no, it would not be on the free market.
We love Jason and Michelle. They're great neighbors.
You're just saying that because they're putting a pool in.
No,
huh?
no. They're right next door to me. I was just concerned after they sell
Yeah.
at some point, and we've
Sure.
been there for 47 years. I just wanted to know
Very
what was going down the way.
understandable. We run into that a lot with variances, the variances are there for the life of the property, a special permit is as well. But in
Perfect.
this case, with EFLAs, it is deed restricted, so, again, I have someone who sits on the registry of deeds here, so he can probably expand on what the deed restriction means a little more than I. But it just means that they are limited. Am I saying that right, Ken? Limited?
Correct.
To family members only.
Perfect.
Now, if this family moves out and someone else moves in and they decide to illegally run this as a apartment, that's an enforceable action by the town, I believe, and, it will be reported as such. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Very good, thanks. Anyone else? Yeah, in the back. Hi, good evening.
Hi, Bill Little, 15 Sherwood Ave.
Hi.
Well, it's too big. It's detached, and looking at it, it's basically like an extra house on the lot. 886 square feet, that's, I guess, what the
Correct.
living area is. That's bigger than some of the homes on Burley Street, living area, square footage-wise. I think calling this an in-law apartment is kind of a stretch.
So you are not in favor of it?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else on 58 Burley? Seeing, hearing none, I will close the public hearing. I believe I started with you, Ken.
I think so.
All right, let's deliberate.
I'm a little on the fence with this. Like I said, a detached building. An EFLA is a special permit, but as we know, change of ownership, special permit goes away. So now it's up to the new owners to do the right thing and either make it an EFLA again or rent it out. For all we know, we don't know. Also, it's a little large. I might get over the square footage, but why don't you come back to me as far as yes or no?
I can do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Javanen.
Yeah, the detached, building is a little tricky for me too. I mean, it just seems like Mr. Chairman described, it seems like there's not a real common area for me to really, like a laundry room or some adjoining room. And I know there's mechanisms in place, but we can't really, have this, it's just like a lot of bandwidth to inspect and stuff and to find these apartments and stuff. It does happen. It's almost like chasing your tail. So I just think if we let a lot of these go through, we're putting the inspection department in a bad situation and stuff by the time they can figure this out. I'm not saying there's bad intentions at all. I think it's, by your part, but it's like by the new owner, if there is one, they may make an illegal apartment out of it for a while, and it may take time to figure that out. So I think it sets a bad precedent to start, approving these type of detached properties. So I would be no as a EFLA.
Corrine.
I agree with Mr. Little. I've driven by this house many times. I really like how the house came out. The remodel was great. And I never noticed the garage until I had to drive by and actually stop and kind of like walk the property and look at the garage. And I'm shocked at how big it is. It's a massive garage. You have basically an apartment above it that you want to propose. I have a hard time with detached anyway because there isn't a common space. So I'm a no. It's too big.
Thank you, Corrine. And Ken, I'll come back to you now.
I'm going to have to say no.
Okay.
There's too many cons as opposed to pros.
May I make a
I
motion?
think for me, the structure's existing. And for that reason, I think the structure, I agree with Corrine, it's kind of ominous. It doesn't really fit in the neighborhood. However, where the building is built, and this is a second floor, I do, for reasons I already stated, I think this is not really conducive for maybe young grandparents, but certainly not as they age. I think the second floor would become difficult, but that's your problem to figure out. I think you're deciding that this is okay, and if it's not grandparents, it's some other family member. So for that reason, I would be a yes. However, you don't have the votes. So what would you like to do?
Could I make a motion to kind of quell some of the disparities between, I know Kenneth was mentioning about how if someone does potentially buy this and they add the 30, 60-day appeal period to basically make it an EFLA again, could we make a stipulation that somehow during a sale to the next owner, the apartment is rendered not unlivable, but not created an apartment again with removing the cookware in kitchen space, which doesn't.
So you're saying that they would relinquish the deed restriction and
Correct.
give up the EFLA? I don't know if we can set that, but I guess I will refer to Brian.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel too comfortable about putting a condition like that on a decision.
Illegal issue.
I think the other thing I want to reiterate too, that I think my colleague here, Ken Jarvinen, pointed out, and again, I think the current owner, their intentions are good. However, this does become unenforceable almost from a town perspective, and certainly don't need to burden our planning department more with chasing illegal apartments. That was the reason we came up with EFLAs, is to kind of get people to, kind of do it by the bylaws. And as my colleagues have mentioned, a detached structure makes it even more difficult to kind of fit in the mold, if you will, of, I'm okay with the 886. We've approved EFLAs that have been upwards of 1,000 or 1,100 to the neighbor's point. So I think 1,000 square feet is tough to live in. So I think 750 is tougher. However, it's meant to be for maybe aging parents. They're downsizing. They don't have as many things that I may have, or junk, as my daughters will call it. They don't have all that. But however, again, you don't have the votes right now. So if you were to continue it, I suppose the one thing you could try to do is bring it into compliance down to 750, but I don't know if that sways the members of the zoning board over to the yes side. So I can strobe them for that. So you have some options here. You can continue it. You can ask us to take a vote. If we take a vote and you're denied, you can't come back for 2 years. And of course, you can withdraw. So those are the three choices. Before you answer, board members, if this were to come into 750 in square footage, does that change anybody's position?
I was okay with the square footage to begin
You're
with.
okay with
I
square,
would've
so it
let-
won't
I would have
change?
let that go.
Does that change it for you?
No, I was
does not.
okay with the
Yes, the square footage wasn't the breaker
Okay.
for me.
So again, I think there's other issues at play here. So what would you like to do?
Can I consult with my clients?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is the green and purple.
Continue the hearing, if we could. continuing the hearing,
You'd like to continue it?
please,
Okay.
with a revised proposal as we,
Okay, if you do, our next meeting date is September 11th, and we would require any updated plans or updated filings to be in the office the Tuesday prior to that. So,
25th, you could, or we have the 25th, too.
or
Yeah, you can pick another date.
you can,
11th or the
we can
25th?
go out.
could we go to the 25th if possible, just to give
20
some time to...
was that the other
to
date?
read-
Yeah,
read this for our meeting?
9/25.
25.
25. You'd like a continuance to 9/25.
Please, thank you.
Could I get a motion, please, to continue this case to 9/25?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we bring this case out to September 25th.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll see you September 25th. Just make sure we have updated plans or requests in the office prior.
Will do. Thank you so
The
much.
Tuesday prior, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. And anything else? And again, we'll address minutes at our 9/11 meeting. I believe we just have one case on.
And we'll have more than 3 by that time, so we might even have 4 or 5 minutes.
Sure, yeah, and I would encourage zoning board members, they go back a little bit, so
Yeah.
please spend some time reviewing for accuracy, as this is a new process. And if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, Danvers.
Good night.